Every real estate YouTuber teaches the BRRRR method, right? But almost none of them are teaching the fix to keep method. And here's the crazy part. In 2026, with our current rates and LTV limits, most attempted BRRRRs quietly turn into fix to keep deals anyway. The property's the same, the rehab is the same, and the tenant is the same. Only the refinance changes, and only the investor knows when the strategy has shifted. The frustrating thing is that the fix to keep is often the smarter play from day one. You just have to know what to look for. Now, in the next 8 minutes, I will show you exactly what fix to keep is, why it beats the BRRRR on most 2026 deals, and how to know when your BRRRR should actually be fixed to keep from the offer. I'm Robert with Open Lane Funding. Let's get into it. Fix to keep is a 5-step process. Buy distressed, rehab, place a tenant, refinance, hold forever. You'll notice that sounds exactly like the BRRRR method. That's because physically it is, but it's the same property, the same work, same tenant. But here's one difference. It's the refinance. And BRRRR, you use the cash out refinance at 75% LTV. Your whole strategy is designed around pulling most of your capital back out so that you can deploy it into your next deal. You keep that velocity going, right? In a fixed to keep, you use a rate and term refinance at 80% LTV, or it's up to 80% LTV, and you're not trying to pull money out. You are simply replacing your short term rehab loan with a permanent DSCR financing. You leave your equity in the deal on purpose. One process, two capital strategies, and in 2026, the second one wins more often than investors want to realize. There's 4 reasons uh, for fixed to keep, that fixed to keep is the smarter play on most deals right now. Reason number 1. Higher LTV means more borrowing capacity. A rate and term refinance typically goes to 80% LTV. A cash out is capped at 75% LTV. That's a 5-point difference on your loan amount. Now, on a $400,000 ARV, that's a $20,000 more borrowing capacity on that property. And here's the great part. If you do happen to lend less than 80%, you're going to start getting LTV bonuses on your rate. So you're going to get better terms on that. Generally about every 2.5 to 5% lower on the LTV from the cap, lenders are going to give you a rate reduction, which is beautiful. Number 2, better pricing leads us right into it. Just on switching from a rate and term from a cash out, you're going to get about 25 to 50 basis points better on the rate. And that's on most DSCR loan products. You get a lower rate, higher LTV opportunity, but the same property. You get more loan at a better price in exchange for just not pulling cash out. Reason 3, the cash out math often fails anyway. And I've said this in every BRRRR video I've made. At 2026 rates and ARV levels, the 75% cash out often doesn't return enough capital to actually recycle, and you end up leaving 20 to 30% of your capital in the deal whether you wanted to or not. If that's going to happen, you might as well plan for it. Take the 80% rate and term instead and get better pricing. I had a borrower that just to make their next deal happen had to refinance 3 properties so they could put that money into the next deal. That's kind of what this current market and values are coming back at. It limits what you can do. Reason number 4, less over leverage risk. The BRRRR method pushes you to the LTV ceiling on every single deal. Fixed to keep lets you keep that buffer in the property. If the market softens 5 or 10%, then the BRRRR investor is at a high LTV on every property and can't refinance. However, if the fixed to keep investor has room, and in our market like ours right now in 2026, the buffer, it's not conservative. It's a smart play. Fix to keep is not always the answer. Here are the four situations where where it clearly is though. Number 1, your all-in cost is above 75% of the ARV. If your purchase plus rehab plus closing cost plus holding cost is higher than 75% of the projected after repair value, and a BRRRR method cash out cannot recycle your capital. Do the rate and term at 80% and stop pretending it's a BRRRR. Number 2, if you do not need the capital on your next deal, if you have other cash sources, a flip, a partner, savings, a business account, you do not need to strip the equity out of this property. Leave it in there. Equity that stays in the deal compounds. Equity that comes out gets deployed into another deal that pays a higher borrowing rate. 3, the property has long-term hold appeal. Great location, growing submarket, strong tenant demand, easy to manage. A property you generally want to own for 20 years is a fix to keep candidate. Save the BRRRR treatment for properties you're indifferent about. 4, your DSCR is tight. DSCR based cash out refinances at 75% LTV have higher payments, which stresses your DSCR ratio. Rate and term at 80% might actually give you a lower monthly payment, even though you have a higher LTV, because the rate is going to be better. On a marginal DSCR property, that difference can be the gap between qualifying and not qualifying, between cash flowing and breaking even, or even negative cash flowing. I'm taking a quick pause here. Comment keep math below, and I will send you the fix to keep versus BRRRR comparison worksheet. And subscribe, because next Wednesday I'm going to do a deep dive into 3-and-1 method. 3 flips to fund 1 keeper, and which is how a lot of full-time investors actually build long-term wealth. Now let's jump back into it. Not every property is a fix to keep candidate. Here are ones that consistently pencil. 1, small multifamily, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. These get appraised on both a comp basis and a rent basis. Adding rent through renovation directly increases appraised value. And the cash flow after refinance is stronger than the single family, the strongest fix to keep profile in 2026. Number 2, below median SFR appreciating neighborhoods. Same principle we've covered on the fix, on the flip, and on the BRRRR videos. Below median in, median out. The forced appreciation is real, and the location supports long-term rent growth. 3, functional obsolescence fixes. Adding a bedroom and by converting a den, adding a bathroom by where there's only one, finishing a basement. Appraisers pay for bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage, and tenants pay higher rent for the same reasons. Same renovation drives both sides of the DSCR equation. Now, 4, properties in submarkets with strong long-term rent growth. Look at a 5-year rent trajectory, not just current rent. A property in a market growing rents at 4% a year for a decade compounds into serious equity without appreciation. Now, what generally doesn't work as a fix to keep? Premium finished properties at the top of the neighborhood, rural properties with weak DSCR ratios, cookie cutter subdivisions with no forced appreciation upside. Now, let me put all this into the numbers, all hypothetical, just for illustration purposes. For same property in every scenario, right? ARV of 400. You purchase the property at 220. You rehab it at about 50,000. All in costs, you're going to be sitting at 290. That includes closing and 9 months of holding. Scenario A, you're going to flip it. Sell it at 400 grand. Exit cost at 3% plus title and concessions run you about 18 grand. Gross profit of about 92,000. You held it under 12 months, taxed at your ordinary income rate. If your combined federal, state, and self-employment rate is a 35%, well, you're clearly about $60,000 in your pocket. It's fast money, but you get a big tax hit. Scenario B, you BRRRR it out. You rate and term refinance. You do a cash out refinance at 75%. You do maximum new loan is 300,000. Existing loan is sitting at around 260. Your net rough about $40,000 in cash out after closing costs. You kept the property. You've recovered about half of your capital. Roughly about 50,000 stays trapped into the deal, and rental cash flow says about 200 a month, and your equity compounds over time. Now, fixed to keep, rate and term refinance at 80%. Minimum new loan at 320,000. Existing loan balance is still around that 260 mark, right? But this time you use the extra headroom for a lower rate and a lower payment, not cash out. Your monthly payment roughly $200 lower than the BRRRR method. So now your cash flow jumps from 200 that you were having month over month on the BRRRR to about 400 per month. Now you've left your capital in the deal, but you're clearly earning better you left your capital in the deal, and now you're earning better cash flow at a better rate at a lower risk debt structure. Over 10 years, the fixed to keep scenario often beats both flip and BRRRR on total wealth. Now, once you factor in cash flow, appreciation, principal paydown, and tax savings, the flip wins on speed, BRRRR wins on velocity, and fixed to keep wins on compounding. So it just depends on what you're looking for. Here's the tactical part most YouTubers skip. You don't have to decide at the offer. You have to decide at the refinance. Structure your initial purchase plus rehab loan with both exits open. Underwrite the ARV estimate, estimate the DSCR. Then, when you're 60 days from refinance, get 2 loan estimates. Get one at 75% cash out and one at 80% rate and term. Compare payment, cash returned, and DSCR ratios. Look at both numbers. And I want to fix something because I said 80%, right? If you're getting one quote at 75% and you're getting cash out, what you're generally going to see is you're going to see a lesser loan for a rate and term. Okay. It's not always going to be 80%. If you're getting cash out on the same deal at a lesser than 75% rate and term, you're going to get a screaming discount on that interest rate. If the cash out returns enough capital to fund your next deal and the payment still works, take the BRRRR. If it doesn't, take the rate and term at 80%, or just take the rate and term. Capture the better pricing. Move on. You've optimized the same physical property for your actual capital situation, not the one you imagined 8 months ago at your offer. Stay flexible. The strategy serves the numbers. The numbers do not serve the strategy. And there's one suggestion that I want to put in here before we start getting into the bottom line of everything, right? Make your loan officer or make your mortgage broker work for you. My job as a mortgage broker is to see what's out there. What can I get you that's going to work best for you? If your best is lowest interest rate, okay, well, now let's talk about doing a rate and term. If you want to pull that cash out, well, let's see what we can find out there for cash out with low interest rates. They always don't go hand in hand, but you know what? It's our job to work for you as the investor. And if you're a mortgage broker listening to this, it's your job to put that extra effort in for your clients. The bottom line here is fixed to keep is not a downgrade from the BRRRR method. In 2026, it's often the upgrade. The higher LTV opportunities, you get better pricing, lower risk, better long-term compounding interest in the property and or value in the property, and the strategy you and it's the strategy your BRRRR is probably going to become anyway. Now, comment keep math as said up top. Comment below for the comparison worksheet. I'll send it to you. If you got a property you want me to run both scenarios for you, comment below and to a strategy, or call or text me at the number on screen, or visit my website at openlanefunding.com. I'm Robert with Open Lane Funding. I'll see everybody on Friday.